It is one of the happiest moments of your life. A wedding, a reunion at an airport, holding a newborn, watching someone you love finally get the thing they always wanted. Pure joy. And what does your body do? It bursts into tears. You are crying at the best possible moment for no logical reason at all. Your brain just fired the exact wrong emotion. So why does it do that? Why do the happiest moments so often make you cry? And what on earth is the point? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what your brain is up to, why it is not a glitch at all, and why it might be one of the most quietly brilliant things it does. Let me start by fixing the belief that makes people a little embarrassed about this. When you cry at something happy, the usual explanation is that you are just an emotional person, or a bit oversensitive, or that your wires are simply crossed. You take it as a small contradiction, a funny little glitch in the system where joy accidentally leaks out as tears. And that belief is completely wrong. Crying at happy moments is not a malfunction. It is not your wires getting crossed. It is a deliberate, remarkably clever move your brain makes on purpose. And it is so common and so consistent that scientists have studied it, given it a name, and figured out roughly why it happens. Once you understand what your brain is actually doing in that moment, it stops being embarrassing and starts being kind of beautiful. And once you have the concept, you will start spotting it everywhere. The friend who cries when they get really angry. The person who smiles nervously when they are actually terrified. The tears that show up at the end of a long, hard, wonderful trip. They are all the same underlying move. Your inner feelings and your outer expressions briefly pointing in opposite directions, entirely on purpose. So here's the plan. I am going to walk you through 3 things, in order. First, what is actually happening when you cry from joy, the real mechanism, which has a genuinely interesting name. Second, the surprising other places this exact same trick shows up in your life, and some of them you would never connect to happy tears. And third, why your brain bothers to do this at all, which turns out to be surprisingly smart. Let's start with the tears. The first thing to understand is that your brain fires the opposite emotion on purpose to balance you out. Researchers, most notably a psychologist named Oriana Aragon, studied this and gave it a wonderful name. They call them dimorphous expressions. Dimorphous meaning 2 forms. The idea is this. When you are hit with an emotion that is simply too big, too overwhelming, too intense to handle all at once, your brain sometimes fires off the outward expression of the opposite emotion to help pull you back toward the middle. So an overwhelming wave of joy, more happiness than your system can comfortably hold in one moment, gets met with the expression of sadness. You cry. Not because you are secretly sad, but because your brain is reaching for a counterweight to steady you when a feeling gets too strong to carry. It is worth being really clear about what this is and is not. It does not mean your emotions are secretly mixed, or that some hidden part of you is actually sad at the wedding. The inner feeling is pure joy. It is only the outward expression, the tears themselves, that borrows from the opposite emotion. Inside, one single feeling. Outside, briefly, its opposite. That gap in what you truly feel and what your face suddenly decides to do is the whole strange and clever trick. Here's the example you have absolutely lived. Think about the last time you teared up at something purely wonderful. A wedding vow, a soldier surprising their family, a video of someone hearing for the first time. You were not sad. And if anything, you were happier than usual. But the feeling swelled up bigger than you could hold, and out came the tears. The classic expression of the opposite emotion, arriving to balance the flood. And here is the warning, or really the reframe, because this is the whole misunderstanding. Those happy tears are not a contradiction of your joy. They are actually a measure of it. The tears are basically your body's way of admitting that this feeling got too big to contain, which means the joy was real, and it was enormous. You do not cry at the happy moments you feel mildly good about. You cry at the ones that overwhelm you. I did exactly this at my sister's wedding, completely without permission. I had genuinely planned to be the composed one, the guy calmly holding it together for everyone else. And then she started her vows, and before a single tear had any business being anywhere near my eyes, I was just gone, quietly falling apart in a rented suit. I was not sad, not even slightly. I was the happiest I had been in years. My body simply could not hold that much of it at once. So it did the only thing it knows how to do when a feeling overflows the container. It spilled. But here is where it gets genuinely fascinating, because this exact same trick shows up somewhere you would never expect. The second thing is that once you know what to look for, you start seeing this everywhere, and the clearest example is one you have definitely felt but probably never questioned. You see an impossibly cute puppy, or a chubby baby, or a tiny kitten, and you are hit with the strangest urge. You want to squeeze it. You want to squish its little cheeks. You might even say something unhinged like, "I could just eat you up." That is not a threat, and there's nothing wrong with you. Researchers actually studied this and named it cute aggression, and it is the exact same dimorphous mechanism. Something is so overwhelmingly cute that the tender feeling swells past what you can hold, and your brain fires a mock aggressive impulse, the squeeze, the gritted teeth, to bring the intensity back down. In fact, studies found that letting people express that little squeezy aggression actually helped them recover from the overwhelming cuteness faster. The opposite expression is doing its balancing job again, just pointed at a puppy this time, instead of a wedding. And this is not merely a cute theory. When researchers actually looked at brain activity during these moments, they found that overwhelming cuteness lights up both the reward systems and the systems tied to strong emotion at once. And the little aggressive urge seems to help the brain wrestle that surge back under control. So when you look at a tiny dog and physically cannot cope, when you make that strained face with the gritted teeth and the grabby hands, your brain is not being random or strange. It is regulating you in real time. I am, for the record, a deeply afflicted, cute aggression person. I have said the words I want to bite him about a golden retriever puppy out loud in public to a stranger, and I stand by it completely because now I know it just meant my little internal balancing system was working overtime. And it works in the other direction too, which explains something people feel genuinely ashamed of. Have you ever laughed at completely the wrong moment? At a funeral, during an argument, right after hearing genuinely bad news. That nervous, horrified laughter that you cannot seem to stop. Same exact mechanism running the other way. An overwhelming wave of grief or fear or stress swells up too big to hold, and your brain reaches for the opposite expression, laughter, to pull you back from the edge. So if you have ever been mortified that you giggled at the worst possible time, please hear this. You are not heartless, and there is nothing broken in you. You were overwhelmed, and your brain grabbed the nearest counterweight it could find. It is the same beautiful system as happy tears, just wearing a very awkward costume. I have a genuinely mortifying version of this one. Years ago, I got some serious bad news on a phone call, the heavy kind, and I felt a laugh come climbing up out of nowhere at the worst imaginable second. I was quietly horrified at myself about it for years afterward. I thought it meant something cold and wrong about me. It did not. It meant the exact opposite. The feeling was so heavy that my brain grabbed the nearest lever it could reach to keep me on my feet. And that lever happened, humiliatingly, to be laughter. And this is genuinely the whole reason I make this channel. So a quick thing. If you like having the strange little quirks of your own mind explained to you like this, take 1 second and subscribe. That is the entire point of what we do here. Okay, back to the real question, because we still have not answered it. Why would a brain evolve to do something this counterintuitive in the first place? The third thing, and the part that ties it all together, is that your brain is doing this to keep you balanced, so no single feeling can hijack you. Think about what intense emotion actually does to you. Even good emotion, in a big enough dose, is overwhelming. It floods your system, it can freeze you up, it can knock you off your feet, sometimes literally. And your brain, above almost everything else, wants to keep you regulated and functioning, not stuck pinned under one massive feeling. So dimorphous expressions act like a kind of emotional brake. When a feeling surges too high, firing the opposite expression is a fast, built-in way to pull you back toward the middle, toward balance, so you can actually stay present in the moment instead of being swept completely away by it. It is your nervous system quietly catching you, keeping any single emotion, even joy, from taking the wheel entirely. And there is a second, quieter job these expressions do out in the world. They tell everyone around you what is happening inside you, fast and unmistakably. When your voice breaks and your eyes fill at someone's good news, every person in the room instantly knows how much you care without you saying a single word. That shared, visible overflow is part of how human beings actually bond, how a wedding becomes a wedding and not just a legal signature on a form. Your overwhelmed nervous system is also, in that exact moment, a kind of quiet announcement to everyone watching. This matters to me. We are in this together. Here's the example that shows the logic. Imagine if overwhelming joy just kept escalating with nothing to check it. Higher and higher, no breaks at all. You would be non-functional at every wedding, every birth, every beautiful moment, completely swamped and unable to do anything but drown in it. The happy tears are the release valve that lets the pressure out so you can stay in the room. Stay connected, actually live the moment instead of short-circuiting. You can even feel how useful this is the second you imagine the alternative. A brain with no counterweights at all, where every big feeling just ran away with you completely unchecked, would be a nightmare to actually live inside. You would be ambushed and flattened by your own emotions constantly, at the precise moments you most need to be present. These opposite reactions are, in a very real sense, exactly what lets you feel things this deeply and still keep standing up. They are not the emotion failing, they are the emotion being made survivable. And it is worth noticing just how wide the net actually is. People cry at graduations, at sports victories, at a stranger's proposal caught on a shaky phone camera, at a piece of music with no words in it at all, at a soldier quietly walking back through a front door. Complete strangers. Entire situations that are not even happening to them. And still, the tears come anyway. That is your own capacity for joy and connection running so deep that it spills over even for people you will never meet. Far from being a weakness, it might genuinely be one of the most quietly generous things the human heart knows how to do. And here is the warning, the one thing I really want you to take from all of this. Please stop judging yourself or anyone else for these so-called wrong reactions. The person crying at the good news, the friend who laughs at the worst possible moment, the one who wants to squeeze the puppy too hard. None of them are broken or strange or too much. Every single one of them is showing you a nervous system working exactly as designed, catching a feeling that got too big to hold. So let me pull all of this together, because it genuinely changes how you might feel next time your body does something that seems to make no sense. You learned that crying when you are happy is not a glitch or a contradiction. It is a dimorphous expression, your brain firing the opposite emotion on purpose to balance out a feeling that grew too intense to contain. Which means those happy tears are actually a measure of just how big the joy really was. You learned that the same clever mechanism shows up all over your life, in the urge to squeeze something unbearably cute, and in that horrified, nervous laughter at exactly the wrong moment. And you learned that your brain does all of this to keep you regulated, to make sure no single overwhelming feeling, good or bad, can completely hijack you, so you can stay present and functional right in the middle of your biggest moments. And here's the part I really want you to keep, because it turns something you might have felt a little silly about into something genuinely moving. When you cry at the happiest moment of your life, your body is not betraying you or getting confused. It is doing the opposite. It is telling you, in the clearest way it knows how, that this, right here, is too much joy to hold quietly. That the moment mattered so enormously, your system had to reach for its release valve just to survive the size of it. Your happy tears are not weakness, and they are not oversensitivity. They are the proof, written right on your face for everyone to see, that you love something that much. And honestly, what a gift to be a person capable of being that overwhelmed by joy. There is a quiet freedom in seeing it this way. So much of what we are secretly a little embarrassed about, the crying, the laughing at the wrong moment, the too muchness of our own reactions, turns out not to be a flaw in us at all. It is just the visible edge of a system working hard to hold us together while we feel things at full volume. The people who react the biggest are almost never the broken ones. They are usually just the ones feeling the most, walking around with a nervous system honest enough to actually show it. So the next time you feel your eyes sting at a wedding, or your voice crack at good news, or that ridiculous urge to squeeze something adorable, do not fight it and do not be embarrassed by it. Just recognize it for what it actually is. Your own brain gently catching you, balancing you, making sure you can stay standing inside a moment big enough to knock you over. Let the tears come. They mean you are fully, deeply, achingly alive to the good things. And that is one of the best things a person can be. So tell me down in the comments, because I already know these are going to be wonderful. What is the moment that made you cry from pure happiness? The one that got you completely out of nowhere? A wedding, a reunion, a video, a memory? And be honest, are you a cute aggression person too? Do you want to squeeze the puppy? Or are you a nervous laugher? Or the one quietly ugly crying in the back at every single wedding? Tell me below, no judgment. We clearly all have a beautifully overworked little balancing system in there. And if you want another one of these strange and comforting truths about the surprisingly wise machine you live inside, go watch the one on why you get nostalgic for times that were not even that good, because it is the same emotional system, quietly doing something far kinder than it looks. I'll see you over there.